Good morning. Today, we will talk about solving problems involving direct, inverse, and partitive proportion. We'll start with direct proportion. Two variables, say x and y, varying such that as x increases, y also increases, or as x decreases, y also decreases proportionally. That is, the ratio is always the same. Now, this is an example of direct proportion. Ibig sabihin, kung si x ay tumaas, dapat si y din ay tataas. Kung bumaba si x, dapat bumaba din si y. Yung sinasabi natin ng directly proportional to each other. Let's say for example, kung yung panganay niyong kapatid ay binigyan ng pera ng inyong magulang, let's say 50 pesos, dapat 50 pesos din ang ibibigay ng nanay niyo sa inyo. That is directly proportionate. Let's take a look at an example. If the weight of 12 sheets of thick paper is 40 grams, how many sheets of the same paper would weigh 2½ kilograms? So let the number of sheets weigh 2½ kilogram be an x. We put the above information in the form of a table as shown below. Number of sheets 12 and x, weight of sheet in grams 40, and another is 2,500. Okay, now, from the given example, we have 12 over 40 is equivalent to x over 2,500. Again, the first thing you have to do is you need to use the cross multiplication method. Okay, now, by multiplying 12 by 2,500 and on the other side, 40 times x. Okay? Now, both sides, dapat siyang i-divide ng 40 para ma-cancel out natin at matira na lang si x. Okay, now, the product of 12 by 2,500 divided by 40, the answer is 750. When you check, kapag sinubstitute natin sa 750 kay x, same ratio ang makukuha natin. So, parehas, the product of 12 by 2,500 and 40 by 750. Kung mapapansin ninyo, as the number of sheets, which is 12, now becomes 750, also the weight of sheet also increases by 40 to 2,500. So, kaya nga siya tinawag na direct proportion kasi kung nag-increase yung isang variable, dapat mag-increase din yung isang variable. In this case, yung number of sheets, again, nag-increase at yung weight of a sheet ay nag-increase din. So, directly proportional. Now, let us have the indirect or inverse proportion. So, kabaligtaran naman ito. Pag sinabi natin indirect, kung yung isa ay nag-increase, dapat yung isa naman ay nag-decrease. Ano? So, yun yung pagkakaiba niya kay direct proportion. Okay. Now, let's take a look of the example. So, there are 100 PUI in a hotel due to COVID-19. Food provision for them is for 20 days. How long will these provisions last if 25 more PUI join them? So, ibig sabihin, para malaman natin na ito ay indirect proportion, from the given example, kung mapupunan nyo, na sa bawat pagtaas ng mga person under investigation, bababa naman ang food provision. Ibig sabihin, kapag tumaas ng tumaas ang PUI, may tendency that the food provision ay bumaba naman. Kasi nga, dumadami yung mga tao. Parang ganito, kapag ba ang isang company ay mayroong 5 workers, tapos nagagawa nila yung trabaho nila na let's say 10 days only, pag ba ginawa nating 10 yung mga workers, ano ang kakalabasan nun? Diba? Bababa naman yung number of days para matapos nila yung mga gawain. So, ganun ang inverse or indirect proportion. Isa ay i-increase at bababa naman yung isang variable. Okay, let's solve the problem for indirect or inverse proportion. Again, when we say indirect or inverse proportion, if one increases, the other will decrease. So in the given example, let's put it this way, that 100 as the PUI and 20 days as for food provision is under the value of X. And on the other side, on the Y value, is the 125 PUIs and the unknown, which is the Y. So in this example, hindi natin gagamitan siya ng cross multiplication method or the mean or extreme method. Okay. Sa pagsagot or pag-solve ng indirect o inverse proportion, kung ano yung nasa value of x, yun ang ating ipapag-multiply. At kung ano yung nasa value of y, yun ang ating ipapag-multiply. So, let's try this. On the value of x, we have 120. And on the value of y, we have 125 and y. Okay, now, so para matalis natin yung figures at matira lang ay si y, kailangan nating i-divide siya by 125. So, on the right side, we will cancel 125 and 125. So that matira na lang si y. Sa kabila naman, 100 the product of 120 divided by 125, the answer is 16. So kung mapapansin ninyo, from 100 PUIs, it increases to 125. And from 20 days, it decreases to 16 days only. So kung mapapansin natin, as PUI increases, number of days for food provision decreases. Kaya siya tinawag na indirect proportion. Now, the last one is what we call the partitive proportion, which means a whole is divided into more than two parts. Now, let us have the example. So, as you can see here, the ratio of male to female in a certain fast food chain is 3:5. If there are 48 services crew in the fast food chain, how many male and female are there? So, ang gusto nilang malaman, from the ratio of 3:5 at meron tayong total ng 48 services crew, ilan daw ang bilang ng babae at saka ng lalaki. So, may dalawang method akong ituturo sa inyo. So, the first method, itong example na to, kung ang ratio daw ay 3:5, so that would mean we have 3x, x represents the number of male, plus 5x represents the number of female, is equivalent to 48. Now, what is 3x plus 5x is equivalent to 8x is equal to 48. Now, you divide 8x and 48 by 8, you'll get 6. So, ang value pala ni x ay 6. So, when we substitute 6 by 3x, 18 is for male. And when we substitute 6 doon kay 5x, we get 30 for female. Pero para mas madali, ganito ang gawin niyo lang. So, di ba ang 3:5, when you add this, ang total niya is 8. So, ganito ang gawin nyo. Di ba ang total employees or service crew is 48, multiply by 3, divided by 8, so you will get 18. On the other hand, 48 times 5 divided by 8, you'll get 30. Okay, now, for your activities, I'll be the one to give you a Solution. For activity number 1, about Pedro spent his salary of 9,000 for food, clothing, recreations, and savings, which are in the ratio of 48, 20, 15 is to 37, respectively. How much does he spend for each category? Ang tanong dito, kung mayroon daw salary si Pedro na 9,000, magkano ang kanyang inilalaan para sa food, clothing, recreations, and savings, considering na meron siyang binuong ratio. Okay. Now, ang unang gagawin nyo muna ay i-add lahat ng ratio. 48 plus 20 plus 15 plus 37. That is a total of 120. Okay, now, since you have 9,000 as your salary, i-multiply lang natin siya by 48. Pag nakuha natin yung product ng 9,000 and 48, i-divide naman natin siya sa total ratio, which is 120, and you will get 3,600. Now, it's your turn to find out kung magkano ang sa clothing, recreation, and savings. Now, let's proceed for number 2. Now, Karen is following this recipe for bread. She realizes her sister used most of sugar syrup for her breakfast. Karen has only 1/6 cup of syrup, so she decided to make a small size of bread. How much of each ingredient shall she use? So, ito yung bread recipe. So, dapat meron daw 1 cup quick cooking oats, 2 cups bread flour, 1/3 cup sugar syrup, 1 tablespoon cooking oil, 1 1/3 cups water, 3 tablespoons yeast, and 1 teaspoon salt. So, ang tanong, since meron na lang siyang 1/6 cup of syrup, so mababawasan yung ginawa niyang recipe o yung bread recipe na kanyang sinusunod. Kasi nga, kulang na yung kanyang syrup. Now, tingnan nyo, doon sa recipe natin, meron dito 1/6 cup of syrup and 1/3 cup sugar syrup. So, ibig sabihin, yun yung given value. Si 1/3 at saka si 1/6 cup of syrup. Now, let's take a look with this computation. As you can see here, meron ditong line na horizontal. Tapos colon, 1/3 is equivalent to x is to 1/6. Si 1/3 dito, yun yung nasa original recipe. Si 1/6 naman dito, ito yung meron na lang si Karen. Okay. Si x, ito yung hinahanap natin. Diba? Sabi natin, ilan na lang ang magiging recipe kung 1/6 na lang daw yung syrup na meron si Karen. Okay. On the second line, diba, hanapin natin si oats. Ito yung pumalit doon sa horizontal line. Diba may horizontal line dito? Sa taas niyan. So, pinalit natin yung 1 kasi doon sa unang bread recipe ay yung 1 cup ng oats, diba? So, 1 is to 1/3 is equivalent to x is to 1/6 or 1 is to 1/3 as x is to 1/6. Okay, kasunod na gagawin natin, gagamitin natin ang mean and extreme method. So, when you multiply 1 by 1/6, you'll get 1/6. Kasi class, mayroon ditong imaginary 1. Sa kabila naman, mean, 1 times x is x, 3 times 1 is 3. Kaya siya mayroong x/3 is equal to 1/6. Since yan ay naka-fraction na, gagamitin naman natin ay cross multiplication method. So, 6 times x and 3 or 1 times 3. So, 6 times x is 6x, 1 times 3 is 3. So again, para matanggal natin or ma-eliminate natin yung value doon kay x, we need to divide it by 6. So both sides, so matitira is x is equal to 3 over 6. We need to simplify 3 over 6. So again, nahanap tayo ng greatest common factor of 3 and 6, which is equivalent to 3. So 3 divide 3 is 1. 6 divide 3 is 2. So, ibig sabihin, from the bread recipe, instead of 1 cup ng oats, ang kakailanganin lang natin is 1/2 of oats. Now you proceed with the next question.